If you are a student in school or college and you're looking for a better way to study, or if you graduated or working and took a training or a course to apply for a better job or be promoted in your job, or if you're looking for a better way to plan your life, then you are in the right place. Today, I'm going to share with you an important tool you can use to fulfill all of those purposes. It is mind mapping. So today I'm going to do a mind mapping tutorial, and you'll learn how to create an effective mind map to study, work, and live. And since most of you are already familiar with what mind mapping is, then I'm going to do it a little bit different, meaning that I'm going to answer the most and important questions I get about mind maps that prevent you from creating an effective mind map or use mind map as a habit in studying, learning, working, or planning your life. Those questions are: why to use mind maps and not the linear format? What are the uses of mind maps? What are the benefits of mind maps? And how to create mind maps. And first, I'm going to give you a brief about what mind mapping really is, and I'm going to give you my personal definition, which has lots of keywords that we will reflect on while we answer those questions. So, what is mind map? Mind mapping is your personal creative one page that shows relevant information in a visual and connected way. Like I said, lots of keywords. We'll not brief it right now. We will gonna reflect on it while we answer the questions I said before. So the first question is, why mind mapping and not the linear format? Well, here's your first distinction. It's not either or. Both mind mapping and the linear formatting are good tools with different uses. It's like me asking you, which tool should I use? Is it a spoon or a shovel? And I think your answer to that is another question, which is, well, what do you need it for, or what do you want to do? If you want to make a sandwich, then use the spoon. If you want to dig a hole, then use the shovel. And if I reversed it, if I used the spoon to dig a hole or a shovel to make a sandwich, well, I can do these, but good luck with me, right? Same here. You can't use mind mapping when answering your final examinations per se. You can't use mind mapping when submitting your proposal to your manager or the government offices if you're starting a business. And you can't use mind mapping when transcribing. And that's why the linear formatting or the lists format are used for the analytical purposes. It is used when you want to activate your left hemisphere, when analyzing things, when you want to do things in a chronological order, or if you want to finalize things like you finalize the list or article or a book. To publish a book, you need to use the linear formatting. You can't use mind mapping when you want to publish a book. But you can use mind maps when you create the book from scratch, when you create what topics to talk about in the books, what points to talk about in the book, what elements to include in the book. And this is the purpose of this tool, mind maps, is to use it when you want to create something, when you want to activate the right hemisphere, like drafting, thinking, or planning about things. This is one of the keywords mentioned in the definition above, creative, because mind maps are creative. When you use mind maps, you use it for creating something that wasn't there already. I hope this distinction clarifies the difference between mind mapping and linear formatting. Both are good tools. You will need both. Now that you know the intention about using mind maps, let's take a look at its uses. So like I said in the introduction, you can use it when studying, you can use it when working, and you can use it in your life in general. When it comes to study, the input sources you have either seeing, hearing, or reading, and you can use mind mapping with all of these. If you're studying through seeing a lecture or a video or a talk or a seminar or a webinar, you can mind map the points that are being said in that video. Same if you're hearing a podcast or the lecture if it's recorded, you can mind map those points. Same if you're reading books or articles, you can mind map those books or articles in your own personal and creative way. The other use is when working or in your business. The main category here is your projects. So you can use mind mapping in your projects in terms of planning, identifying the phases or requirements or risks, or coming up with more ideas or linking ideas together. Also in the business environment, you can use mind maps when note-taking in meetings. So you can turn the minutes of meetings into mind maps of meetings. And this works with all meetings, face-to-face, calls, virtual. I've been using mind maps for over 3 years, and it works in all of these areas I'm mentioning to you. So it's a proven case study. Also in business, you can use mind maps in presentations, either when you prepare for it or when you present it. When it comes to uses of mind maps in life, the two main categories I found useful are when planning for life, and it ranges from the little things as mind mapping the things to buy up to the great things like planning your life's vision or mission and value or purposes. Mind mapping is a very useful tool in that area. Also in self-development. And as you can see, self-development is linked to both studying and business. A small confusion to clarify. Some people mix between brainstorming and mind mapping, and there is actually a difference or a distinction between both. Brainstorming is a subset of the process, while mind mapping is the finalized product. So in brainstorming, you come up with as many ideas as possible, and later you put them together into one mind map. The other difference is that brainstorming is not connected. So you come up with as many ideas as possible, and those ideas are not connected. You shouldn't be judging or analyzing these ideas. While in mind mapping, you put those ideas together in a connected way, and hence we said connected in the definition. So the third question is, why is it more effective? Why mind mapping is more effective than the linear formatting when it comes to creative purposes? And this is an interesting question. First reason is that it's the logical way that your brain works in when it comes to creativity, either by generating as many ideas as possible, by connecting those ideas together, or by having the ideas into a picture format as your brain works into pictures or in a story mode. The second reason about mind maps being more effective when you try to create something is that it is creative than the linear formatting. Why? First, it is personal. When many individuals try to mind map the same topic, it will be different in each one. One will say finance, the other one will say budget, the third one will say cost, the fourth one maybe will put a dollar sign. Someone will link finance to the green color, others will link it to the red colors, and so on and so forth. That's why we mentioned in the definition the word personal. The second reason in the creative point is relevant. Mind maps shows relevant information to you. Again, this is one of the keywords mentioned in the definition above, the word relevant. I didn't mean relevant information in terms of the source you're mind mapping from, but I meant relevant information to you. Like I said in the example above, you can use the word budget or finance or cost if it means something to you. Maybe personally I use the word budget, others will use the word finance because it is relevant to them. The third reason in the creative point is free form. Mind maps doesn't have a form or a structure to follow. You just go in every direction you want. This is one of the points that makes it more creative. Moving to the third reason in why mind maps are more effective than the linear formatting in creative purposes is that it improves your memory. It makes you memorize the topic or the subject more often than the linear formatting. Why? Because you use more tools in the mind maps, tools like pictures. And we all know that one picture worth 1,000 words. You also use colors in mind maps, and colors ignites your right hemisphere, the creative one. You make the mind maps connected together, and again, this is one of the keywords mentioned in the definition. You connect points to one another, and so you have this finalized diagram that shows connected points to each other. Also, mind maps are one pages, or in 99% of the cases, you can mind map the whole topic into one page. I used it in my master degrees where I could mind map like a 20-page or 30-page topic into one page. So at the end of the semester, you have only few pages to review in terms of or consisting of mind maps instead of reviewing like hundreds of pages. Again, this is one of the keywords mentioned in the definition. The final point in the memory field is using keywords. The right mind maps should have keywords, 1, 2, or maximum 3 keywords. Mind maps shouldn't have sentences unless you're trying to write a quote or a joke or a story headline. But even though you can write one keyword or two keywords that will remind you about that quote or joke or story. And again, I'm talking for your personal uses. Here I'm using more words in mind maps, or I'm writing the whole question in mind maps because I'm using these mind map for different purposes. I'm using these mind maps for illustration and tutorial purposes. Mind maps shouldn't have sentences or paragraphs like I have seen in many videos, and I'm wondering why people are not using mind maps. Personally, if I saw these videos before learning about mind maps, I wouldn't bother learning it. The final piece about why mind maps are more effective than the linear formatting is that mind maps are more productive. It allows you to smooth recapture ideas. A couple of weeks ago, I attended a lecture and the professor was talking extemporaneously. And then at one point, he remembered something that he should have said in the beginning. So he said, okay, so I remembered this point, guys, you should write it to that first point I mentioned. And suddenly the scenario was like this. Half of the attendees were flipping pages back and forth to reach to that point and see that point and try to squeeze that new point that he mentioned in that area or in that category. And the other half, the ones that were taking notes with their tablets, were scrolling up and down to reach for that part and add that point he mentioned, while I just took a quick glance at my mind map and went to that branch and just added the keyword. That's it. No flipping pages, no scrolling up and down, just saw the branch, added the keyword, and in 1 second I was done. So it allows smooth recapture. Also, mind maps are always alive. This mind map you're seeing right now, or actually the whole mind map when it's finished, this is alive. This can be updated every now and then. I can add branches, I can remove branches. It's there, it's easy to maintain, it's easy to modify. The third point is that mind maps are collaboration friendly. So if you are collaborating with another colleagues in a project or something, then mind maps will make it easy for you to collaborate. It will make it more effective. It will keep the structure intact. So now you can add branches, you can remove branches, you can add sub branches, you can add notes, you can add pictures. You can't do that, or at least you can't do that easily with linear formatting. So moving to the final piece of today's topic, which is how to do mind maps the right way. First, you need to be aware of the mechanism, and I think we all know it already. First, you put the topic or the title in the center of the page, and you create branches for any relevant heading for that title. And for each of those branches that have headings, you create sub-branches that have relevant subheadings to those headings. And you continue doing this back and forth till you have this tree-like looking mind map. Second, you should be aware of some of the best practices when creating mind maps is that first, you can use the landscape mode. It creates more space. Second, you use plain pages or plain screens like the one I'm using right now. And third, you use the memory tools we mentioned before. So add pictures, use colors, make connections between branches. Try to have the mind map into one page and try your best to use keywords, the less keywords possible. That's it for our today's mind mapping tutorial. If you guys like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel where I discuss every tool that relates to your well-being so you can apply, achieve, integrate, and upgrade your life. Until we meet, keep upgrading.